I always think it's a conversation you should have. Let's just say a bronze medal at Tokyo. That'd be the craziest thing ever. But again, just kind of taking it day by day, just how I did at USA's, focused on one race at a time. Because I feel like when you start, you're on the first round, you're thinking, how am I going to medal in the final? There's a shot you might just not make the final just because you're not focused on that one race that you're in at the moment.
Today on the Running Effect podcast, it's always a privilege to sit down with Cooper. He's been on the podcast 2 previous times before, last year as a freshman after he won the Brooks PR Invitational and did so in remarkable fashion. And then this past year before the Brooks PR Invitational, where he ultimately set a national record. And that very same national record he just broke again at the age of 16, running 142.27, taking 3 seconds off of his own national record and running splits of 50.66 in the first lap and 51.61 final lap. Utterly tactical, immature execution. He looked out of it with 100 meters to go. But as you know, if you watch Coop enough times, he always kicks with 100 to go. When everyone else is dying, he finds a way, he finds a path, he gets it done. Today's conversation, we just dive into the memories, the moments, the training, everything that led up to this performance and what it means for his future. I hope you guys enjoy this one. If you do, share it with a family member, a friend, a teammate, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. Over 50% of people find and discover their favorite podcast through the recommendation of a friend. So for us to have the impact we want to have with this podcast, I need your help in doing that. We'd greatly appreciate it. Also, give us a 5-star review. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to do so. And hit the follow or subscribe button so you don't miss more incredible episodes like this in the future. Without further ado, enjoy the conversation with the youngest ever member in the history of USA track and field to make a world championship team on a senior level, Cooper Lutkenhaus. Cooper Lutkenhaus, welcome to the Running Effect podcast, the man of the hour. You've been on, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time had you on as a freshman who we were just excited you were breaking 150 and thought you were hot stuff. 14 months later, you're making world championship teams and running 142. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Dominic. Thanks for having me on.
How crazy is the recent progression to you where that first conversation, which was awesome to have you on, I was maybe your first ever podcast or one of the early ones. I asked you, I was like, do you think you can win Brooks PR, 4 years in a row? And now you're making world teams. How crazy is it to you that the goals have expanded? I'm sure you're not thinking about winning Brooks PR 4 years in a row anymore.
It's definitely crazy to think about. I didn't think 142 was in the cards, at least in high school. So being able to do that at such a young age it's I guess just a great opportunity. It's definitely opened doors, I feel like, but it's just been really fun this past week or two.
What's the biggest part that's surprising to you? Placing second in the entire US, going through the rounds for the first time, racing professionals, or is it running 142?
Yeah, I don't even know if I know yet. I would just say I think placing second maybe, just because you had to go through those 2 rounds before, and I almost PR'd in the semifinal. But I think just getting second because, I mean, look at the guys I raced against: Donovan Brazier, Bryce Hoppel, Josh, Brandon. And those guys have arguments for being the best guys in the world right now. I mean, Bryce Hoppel's one of the best. Donovan's one of the best. Josh I think he had the number 2 time this year so far. So it was just getting second to those guys was crazy.
Oh man. At what point do you think this started to set in and become a reality that you could do that? Or was it really after 1 minute and 42 seconds that you realized, oh, I can do that?
I think it was after the race. Like going into the final, or kind of just USA's in general, me and my coach were saying 144 low to maybe 143 high was, if we ran that, that'd be awesome. Obviously, like making the final was the big goal. And all right, if we made the final and just seeing what would happen, I think was the best. If I got 5th place in 144, I would have taken that any day. Now being able to do a little more than we thought we could is definitely more exciting. So, yeah.
When you line up on the start line against some of your heroes, people that you've looked up to for years, how did you make sure that you believed in yourself and knew that you could compete with those guys? And, maybe they aren't idols anymore in the sense of like at least for the race, you probably have to view them as competitors and put them off of a pedestal.
Yeah, I just think the confidence that Coach Capo, my high school coach, has always kind of given me. Um, like there was right before the race, he just texted me saying, you know, if something opens up, you have a shot. You have a shot to put yourself in the race, and that's always something that I kind of believe is if if I can just say make the final, I always feel like in my eyes I can have a shot to at least do as well as I can because I'm going to give 100% effort. I feel like I gave the maximum effort each round that I needed to qualify, especially in that semifinal, getting that second spot right at the line. So I just think Coach Capo is a big reason for what I've been able to do this past year.
What's that relationship like? How cool is it to have this person who, obviously you're probably going to go to college or pro and maybe switch teams. Like, people have a ton of coaches in their career, but as I talk to people at the end of their career, someone like Evan Jagger, who's had a bunch of, coaches throughout the years, people always go back to their high school coach if they had a really good one. You're one of those few individuals who has the privilege of making a world team with your high school coach, as well as just like doing really cool things. What's your relationship like with him, and how cool is it to be able to share moments with him where 50 years from now, 40 years from now, you're probably gonna talk to him in his old age and your old age and be like, reminisce on the good old days at Hayward Field in 2025.
Yeah, it's super special. Just super blessed to be able to have a coach that is he knows what he's doing. I feel like it can be kind of difficult, especially in high school, because I'm not saying there's there's bad coaches anywhere you go. There's really good coaches anywhere you go as well. So just being able to be lucky to have one that just knows how to take care of me, and also, I feel like an important thing that we really have is an athlete and a just out of athlete kind of like he knows me not as just an athlete, and I know him not just as a coach. I think that's very important. But just the memories we made, even just from this past year, have been really special. And then him getting to go to Tokyo this year is going to be really cool to have him there.
A lot of the athletes I talk to talk about how important it is to like fully believe in your coach. What was the point in your relationship with him where you believed he could take you to the top?
Yeah, I think as soon as he came in, just because. So my dad is our athletic director, so he makes a lot of hires, and he hired Coach Capo not just for me, but for the whole team. That was the most important thing. So whenever Coach Capo came in, I knew kind of the past history he had. He had guys race my older brother, so just knowing that he's had guys be successful in high school, and then also sent multiple girls and guys to college, I knew. And his main event to coach is the 800. So being able to kind of have that security, I feel like. And he came in saying, if you believe in me, I'll believe in you. So I feel like there was trust from just day one when he came to the program.
We talked in the bathroom, I think, between the semifinal and the final, and you looked utterly gassed. And I was like, man, this kid's going to need some prayers to have his legs back under him. What was the process like between rounds? Because obviously, as a high schooler, I'm used to seeing you at Brooks PR. It's a one-off. You're pretty fresh going into it. How did you handle the recovery between rounds, both physically and also mentally?
Yeah, definitely in between the first round and semis was tough. That just because it was a back-to-back days. Like the first round, I ran the 147, felt smooth, and I was like, oh man, if I can just run a little bit faster in that semifinals, I'll be fine. But waking up that next morning with the 147 in your legs definitely hurts. So I was a little worried that morning, but I was, again, that semifinal, like I've said, it was my final. Just leaving it all out there on the track, and then the stumble, obviously. A lot happened in that semifinal. There was kind of a big high after that race, but being able to come down from that pretty quickly. And then that day in between semis and finals where I got just a rest day. I ran 2 miles that day just to try to shake everything out. Felt really good, surprisingly. And then that morning of the final, I was just super excited and ready to get out there and race.
Did you feel, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but a sense of like, the culture, people in the sport, people in the stadium, like, the high schooler, because I feel like in our world, Cooper, like you and I know each other very well. We go to Brooks PR with each other. People in the high school world, it's like, you're a king, right? But then you enter Hayward and you enter Brazier and Hopple and Hoey. And it's kind of nice because you don't have as much pressure.
Mhm.
And so a lot of those people, it's kind of their first time being introduced to you. And so I definitely felt as you made another round and started running fast times, it was like, oh, the high schooler made the final, or the high schooler ran XYZ. Did you feel that? And if so, how did you handle that sort of pressure / was it nice to not really have anyone thinking you would make the team?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely super nice to not really have anybody focused on you. It's kind of like you said, or the Brooks PR. I feel like you had the big names, me and Owen, and then Joseph were kind of the big three going into that race. I feel like almost in a way the high school races could be more nerve wracking just because it's. I guess you could almost say you're supposed to win, but if you don't, it could kind of be crazy. But I've said it before. If I made the final and got last, I don't think anybody would have said anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that the high school kid made the final, I think is very special. But then to be able to make the team was even more.
Take me in the race itself, and specifically the last 100. Someone, I don't really care because I guess it's like kind of off promotion, but someone sent me a reel that someone stole is a strong word, but took from our first ever podcast with each other. And the question I asked you was, I was basically like, kids were watching you race that 800 saying, one, who is this kid from Texas? And two, how in the world does he kick in the last 100? And I remember asking you a very specific question, and that's what someone posted on Instagram, which is like, I was like, you're the only person I've ever seen in the high school 800 meter event, or it just doesn't happen where your final 100 is as good as you make it look. And that was cool to see at USA's, because the exact same thing happened. If you watch the race back, you're out of it with 100 to go, really, and you come back. Where does that come from, and why do you feel like you come alive in that last stretch?
I just feel like the crowd, honestly. I'm assuming you were there for the final for the 800. You know how loud it got. I feel like that last 100, it was just crazy. One of my favorite things, I feel like you have racing and then you also have time trialing. A lot of BU does a lot of just time trials. I feel like from what I see, I just love to race though. So when that last 100 comes, the crowd stands up. It's almost like white noise because you hear it, but you also don't, just because you're so zoned into the race. And that's exactly what I felt that last 100. So I just think the biggest thing is I just love to race, and I love to compete no matter who I'm going up against.
How do you mix that with, like, do you feel like at Brooks PR, because I don't think we've spoken since then, like you got the national record because you raced Owen, or were you going off of the time? And do you feel like, because I feel like 142 for you, if you just set up a time trial, you probably wouldn't have ran it. It's the fact that you had other guys to chase down that ultimately kind of led you to a higher version of yourself. It's like, Coop, you like unlock a version of yourself when you're racing guys. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I just love to race. And at Brooks PR, when I got the high school national record, it definitely helped to have Owen right there through the entire race. I felt him that last 100. I definitely looked over maybe a bit too much, but I just think, again, I just love to compete. Doesn't matter if I'm going into the race ranked last or ranked first. I just want to get out there and just leave it all on the track.
Brooks PR, I debated you whether you could break 4 minutes in the mile or not. Please tell me you've changed your mind now that you've run 142.
See, I want to say yes, but I'd have to drop. I run 4:06. I'd have to drop 7 seconds. So, see, I always, I guess, have the confidence that maybe I could.
What was your PR though when it was 406 in the 8?
It was 1:46. Well,
Yeah.
once Brooks happened, maybe
So
we need to set up a race for it, but
Festival
um,
Miles next year. Be the dark horse.
maybe, but maybe. I haven't ran a mile since that 4:06, which was before maybe about a month or like maybe 2 weeks before Brooks, I think. So it's been a while.
And the 8 is like your event. You love the 8.
Yes, definitely. That's the best event in track and field.
Would you say you're more like a 4-8 guy or 8:15, 8 mile?
Yeah, I would say more 400, 800 type. I think the 46, 400 is a little more impressive than the 406 mile in my eyes. That could be debated, I guess, but I like the way we kind of look at it is let's see how fast you can get in those shorter events, because I feel like that 46 quarter has been a big reason that I've had maybe a kick that final 100, 200, just being able to, and then having the strength side with the mile. Um, that last or that open 400 definitely helps being able to close super fast.
As a fan of the sport and you following professional running, what from your outside purview has it been like to follow the US 8 this year, which has so many storylines? 6 months ago, I thought Donovan Brazier retired. I think so did the rest of the world. Hoppel and Hoey doing their stuff, Hoppel crazy at the Olympics last year. Hoey really had a crazy indoor season. Like, what's it been like to see the storylines and how cool the US 8 has gotten really for the first time in a while, and then kind of crash the party and make the event even crazier?
It's been awesome to watch, obviously, with Bryce getting the American record at the Olympics, and then Brazier being back, and then Hoey just having a great year. And then basically everybody that made that final was having a great year at the time. I mean, they still are, I guess, but I guess being able to be a part of that kind of history, I feel like this is kind of one of the best times for. I think it is the best just overall American distance running from 800 all the way up to 10K. I feel like most people would agree with me when I say that, but I guess being able to be a part of that has been really cool. And yeah, it's just been super. It's just been a good experience.
What is the craziest part of that day for you? What's a memory you'll never forget? Is it what you were feeling with 100 to go? Is it crossing the finish line and throwing your hands up? Is it, a hug with a mom or dad after? Like, what are the memories you think will forever stick with you?
Man, I think that last 100 to 80 meters, just hearing the crowd, that was. I kind of wish I was almost in the stands so I could really fully hear it, but that was one of the loudest things that I've ever heard. Just being able to be in the race, and obviously, in my eyes, that some of the noise was for me. Obviously, for I mean, the race was just crazy that last 100, but also for Donovan, being back and winning it this year. It was. I don't know if I could really forget that moment.
Looking ahead to Tokyo, what are the expectations now, and how do you mix being a sophomore and running so fast with also knowing that you're still really young and, most people don't do that ever, yet alone, Brazier, I don't know how old he is or how, like, these guys are old. Like, these guys, it's taken them years to get to this point. So how do you give yourself the grace to realize, okay, like, I don't have to break 140 right now. Like, I got time.
Yeah, I think the expectations going into Tokyo, I don't know if there really is any. Kind of just do how I did at USA's, just go out there each round and hopefully try to make it as far as I can. Obviously, and then kind of talking about, the 140, 141 things, just focusing on the day by day and just what I can control. Obviously, I could, go, say if I made the final, I could go out there, run 142 and get last. And that, I don't even think you could be mad at that, just because that just shows how talented the 800 is right now, and just in the world, and especially in America right now. I think USA probably has the strongest just 800 overall group, not even just the top 3, but like the top 10 guys. So I'm just excited to see what I can do in Tokyo.
Obviously, when you run 142 and plus place second in the U.S., I think naturally the medal conversation is going to get thrown around a bit. Is that a conversation you've had? Is it a conversation you're scared to have? Where's your mindset when it comes to that? Or is it kind of how you approach USAs, which is just like day by day, race by race?
I always think it's a conversation you should have. Just because, I mean, let's just say a bronze medal at Tokyo, that'd be the craziest thing ever. But again, just kind of taking it day by day, just how I did at USA's, focused on one race at a time. Because I feel like when you start, you're on the first round, you're thinking, how am I going to medal in the final? There's a shot you might just not make the final just because you're not focused on that one race that you're in at the moment.
I'm sure as a high schooler, specifically sophomore, I'm sure you're still doing dual meets as workouts. What's it like going to the World Championships in the same season that you raced Texas kids who probably were running like 230 in the 800 in a dual meet?
I guess high school and college and everything's different. Even from college to college to professional, there's just so much that changes. It's like the pro side is a little more lonely from what I hear, and then high school obviously with your teammates every day, which is something that I always enjoy. Um, and then I feel like college is kind of the same. You're with your teammates every day, so I mean a lot changes from each, I guess, high school, college to professional, but I think this like kind of the best part about, I know this is kind of spinning the question, but the best part just like of the high school is just getting to be with your teammates every day. Those are some of my best friends, so it's always something, get to go to meets together and just one of my favorite things is getting to watch them run. So that's always the coolest thing.
How hype were they when you made the team? Looking at your phone, I'm sure after the races, how excited were the boys back home?
They were pretty excited. Obviously, they didn't think I'd make the team. I didn't think I'd make the team. So I think my coach was definitely the most excited because I didn't get to talk to him until a few hours after the race, just because all the processing after. And because I think I got 1 hour of sleep that night because I had a flight at 10 p.m. after the race, so I had to get through the race, all the processing, and then head straight up to Portland, the 2 hour drive, to catch a red eye flight for, I think it was like 10. It was a 10 p.m. Got home at about 5 a.m. Texas time. Went to practice at, I think it was 8 a.m. 8 a.m. practice. So that one was definitely
no
tough.
days off.
Well, I did take that day off. I only biked, but getting to see my coach back at practice, I gave him a big hug, and then all my teammates. That was definitely cool.
What are the emotions when it comes to still being in high school, still having high school friends, still being a part of a high school program? I mean, where your dad's the AD, how do we get a track named after you or a facility named after you? I think we should, it needs to be National Cooper Day somewhere in Texas.
Maybe I should mention that. No, but I just think it's always kind of cool. I got to come home and like I went out with some of my teammates. We just kind of had a little bit of a celebration dinner. So that, I think that was just the coolest part. I still, because like my teammates see me just as Cooper. They don't see me as what I've done, which is always something nice. Just because, like, I mean, they're gonna support me as much as I support them. So I'm not. They're not really too. I mean, they obviously want me to do the best that I can. I want them to do the best that they can. So I just think the connection that we built ever since I came into high school has really grown.
I asked you this about Brooks PR. Share as much as you're comfortable sharing. Naturally, when you make a world team, you play second. You're as good as you are. You're a sophomore, and you realize you're in Texas and you can't do NIL. It stings a little bit. Have any conversations been had in terms of signing a pro contract, college conversation, NIL? Like, where's your head at with all of that?
I mean, obviously, I feel like conversations have. I mean, that's a given that have been brought up after you run 142. But I just think there's so many different ways now. I mean, Texas is a little bit different, but I think there's so many different ways to do things. It's like you stay in high school, get an NIL, you could go straight pro out of high school, you could go to college, stay for a year, then go pro, or stay all 4 years. I feel like there's just so many different ways to do things. So I don't think there's an exact answer. So I guess maybe in a few weeks there will be, but I don't even really know at the moment what the plan really is.
For you, obviously, sophomore, still 2 more years of high school. Like, there's just a lot of questions, and I feel like when you make a team like this, immediately a bunch of people are going to invite you on their podcast, a bunch of newspapers are going to reach out, a bunch of social media accounts are going to reach out. You're going to start having companies reach out. Like, there's just a lot more attention. Has that been exhausting at all? And how have you tried to ground yourself and realize, like, look, at the end of the day, running is a simple sport that I love, and I'm excited to race the World Championships, and like, it doesn't have to be this complicated. Like, let me just breathe, everyone.
Yeah. I think you just kind of answered it. It's keeping it as simple as possible. It's just running at the end of the day. Everything else is in a way just outside noise that's coming in. So it's like I'm exhausted from it. But the thing is, my dad is definitely more exhausted just because this past week he's done a bunch of things for me. He's set up stuff. Obviously, you and me set up this podcast. That's just simple things I can do. But he's definitely done way more than I have, and I'm tired, so I can imagine how tired he is. But just like my parents and my coach have been a big help this past week or two. Just kind of helping me through everything. Obviously, it's all new for me, so and I mean it's new for them too. But just having the support from them it's been great.
Obviously, your parents are going to be the ones in your life who probably pour into you the most, the ones who raised you. How cool has it been to share and celebrate this moment with them?
It's awesome. There's a photo somewhere. So right after, maybe 5 minutes after the race, when I'm still standing on the track, I see my mom down on the rail, and I go give her a big hug. My oldest brother's down there with him, and then she had her phone. She was calling my dad just so because my dad was on a different side of the track. Called him just to tell her where they were at, and I tried to talk to him, but it was just so loud that I couldn't hear anything. But being able to just share that moment with them, they're a big reason that I am where I am right now. They've just given me so many different opportunities to be able to do what I love. That's kind of the biggest things. And in my family, it's maybe find something that you're good at, and you're gonna work as super hard at it, and hopefully, you can maybe make a career out of it, or just do it for as long as you love.
If you don't go pro, just curious to ask, and obviously this could change. What's your perspective on some of these high school meets? Because if you're running 142, obviously you're not always going to be in 142 shape, but you're showing up to a Brooks PR or a Nike Outdoor Nationals where most of the kids in the field would be thrilled to break 150. How do you view high school competition now? Obviously, I know the sentiment, pride comes before the fall. I don't want to be part of that, knock on wood. And I know that high school kids are probably going to elevate, which is really cool because of your performance here, and you can shape the sport in that way. But how do you view, high school competition if you do ultimately decide to continue competing at those national meets?
Yeah, and I've said this before. There's always a new kid that's going to show up. I would not be surprised at all if there's a incoming freshman this next year that runs 147, 148. That's just how things are now. And I just think things have elevated. Even after when I ran 145, Caleb Winders, when he ran New Balance 146 from not even the fastest heat, I think in a year or two, 147 is kind of that new standard. So like Brooks PR, I think it's going to take. I think soon 148 low is going to be the slowest guy in the race. And you're kind of starting to see that now. Where 149 was, I believe, the last time in. There's a few 149s at Brooks this past year, but I just think with the way every event's progressing, especially the 800, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing maybe one or two 145, 146s now.
Are you excited to miss school, or are you stressed about the fact of missing the first few weeks of school?
No, I think maybe another week of summer vacation would be nice. No, I don't think I'm too stressed about it. I've kind of talked with my teachers already, and I think they understand kind of what I got going on. But like, and again, like the support from my school has been awesome too. So getting to share that with them has been really, really neat.
What are some ways over the next few weeks? Obviously, summer coming to a close here, but I think a big theme of our conversation is just not trying to make yourself something that you aren't. So not trying to make yourself a professional runner or have those mindsets or those routines, or like just realizing, you ran 142 with a certain set of habits and mindsets. What are some things you enjoy or are looking forward to in the next few weeks, just as a normal junior in high school would?
Yeah, I think just keeping things as normal as possible. Obviously, I ran 142. That's awesome, but running is only such a small part of your day that you need to. I mean, it's only 2 hours of my day for the most. At the max, really 3 hours. So, what are you gonna do with those other 20, 21 hours of the day? So, going to school, just doing stuff normal. I mean, I'm still in my eyes, I'm still a normal 16-year-old kid. So, and I think my coach would agree with that. My parents would agree with that. So just keeping things as fun as I guess just chill as possible.
From a training perspective, does anything change between now and Tokyo, or is it pretty much we're doing what got me to 142 and got me to the world team?
I think yeah, just kind of keeping things as normal. Like this last week, I kind of took an off week. I only ran maybe 17 miles. Just keeping it as light as possible. This week is kind of back though. It's basically just kind of restarting. without restarting. Like we took that week not off, but kind of off. And then this week I just had my first workout back from since USA's. So I'm just excited. I just want to go race again, especially in Tokyo against the world's best. But yeah, just kind of staying grounded on what we've been doing. Obviously, it's shown that it's worked. So just stick with what we know works best.
Wrapping up this conversation here, what's the message to the next generation? You mentioned a generation in the 800 where kids are getting faster. You're kind of the guy that people are proud of, like high schoolers in the sport are like, oh, if he can do it, maybe I can do that one day. Or maybe I can make my state meet. Like if Cooper's making a world team, like maybe I can be all state or make NXN or make Foot Locker. Like what's the kind of the inspiring message that you want to leave with the next generation?
I think just believing in yourself. It's like I guess some kids that look up to me. And then obviously like kids look up to me, but I look up to older. I look up to Donovan, Bryce. So just looking up to the people that I mean, obviously I want to be like those guys, but also kind of creating my own path. You don't want the same path in my eyes as somebody else, unless it has a great career. But just believing in yourself that you can do what you put your mind to. The mind is a very powerful thing. So just having that and I guess just staying consistent with what you want to do.
Final question, off the track, out of the gym, what's one thing you're looking forward to before Tokyo? Non-running related.
Non-running related. Well, with school, I have school tomorrow, so
Oh, really? Texas
yeah,
starts that early?
Texas starts early, but I do know I have some of my best friends who are also my teammates in my lunch, so lunch should be pretty good this year.
Love it. Cooper, thank you so much for the conversation. Thanks for always coming on the podcast after your big performances. I can't say that I saw this last year when we talked for the first time, but I certainly knew that the sky was the limit, and that includes making world championship teams and running 142. So at this point, if you're on 120 in the 8, I can't say I would be shocked because you've proven me wrong and you've proven limits wrong. So keep crushing it.
Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate it.